Can hear perfect. All right. It'll give everybody a couple minutes to kind of hop in here and then we can get started. And I know you said you had some questions. So if you want to drop some questions before everybody gets in here, feel free to drop them and I can kind of help you out on some stuff here as well. Until we get in. JT, what's up? Yeah, no worries at all. No worries. I'm going to probably hang out for all of power hour here. Just kind of watch some flow here. Ready for the weekend, man. I know it got really quiet towards the after that first hour. And then we had that little sell off obviously with the tariff trade stuff. Let's take a peek. Pop up trading view here, and sorry if there's a little background noise. The neighbors are mowing their lawn, and for some reason it's really no, they're not mowing the lawn. They're getting their driveway done. Bruno, what's up? Bruno with the big BA call today. I'm going to pull up Tesla here for you, Wi-Fi. Just kind of take a peek. I'm going to look at that daily. I haven't looked at the chart for a little bit on it. Oh, yeah, Let's see. Take out that old trend line here. I always kind of like to refresh the charts here because you get a lot of movement on them. Let's take a peek here. Just kind of like to get an overall little look at the chart before I start kind of drawing some stuff out. Kind of come in here. Yeah, we can look at run for you too here. Take a peek at it after Tesla here. I'm just kind of looking at the uptrend or anything. All right, sorry, I had a text I had to read there. So still in the uptrend. Kind of trying to see where we are. I don't know if I'd like this spot for calls. I'm just kind of trying to. I'd almost rather see it come into a little bit lower here. Yeah, I'd almost rather see it kind of come and test that 200, about that 299 spot at least. Yeah, chart's still looking good here. And I mean, you got kind of here to when do we have earnings? Earnings are 32 days. You might be kind of choppy until then too. I mean, just kind of looking here from, come here. I mean, you're going to probably maybe grind a little bit in this area. Probably reject this little uptrend here for a little bit till earnings. RSI's, dead neutral almost. Let's take a peek at run now for Bruno. You want the chart for a run, or are you looking for flow on that? Or both. You can do both. I'll start with flow while you kind of check that. Let's see. Go to my flow feed. July 18th. Is there a specific strike that you're looking for? Let's see. Or if you tell me the specific strike. Let's see. 8, 8, 5, and 9. Okay. I don't know why I went to this. Okay. Let me go back to the run. So we are looking at the July 18th. July 18th. 8. I'm guessing you're talking calls would be my guess. Okay. So 8, 8, 5, and 9. So, okay, let's do 8, 8, 5, and 9. All right, we'll start with the 8, 5 here. I'm trying to see. Okay, so a lot of that volume came in yesterday. So let's pop this out 7 days just to make it a little easier. Okay, so that flow here, 109. And JT, I can always attest for this. It's always funny because the flow that we always look at during the live stream usually makes a big move at some point. So hopefully if you're in run, could be a good sign for you. So okay, let's look at this. So flow looks good on these 8.5s. See that IV pop when it comes in, coming in at the ask, a little wider bid ask spread, and you're coming at the ask, so good sign there. Just kind of looking at that IV the whole way up. So this is where it would concern me, though, is where you see that drop in that IV here. So I don't like where that drops at the IV there. Yeah, that too. So let's look at the other one. So that is the 8.5 call there. Let's look at the 8. So, and this isn't always, I mean, that it's just like a set of rules. So, like when you see buys, you're typically going to see that price come in all the way at the ask, and you'll kind of see that IV at least stay the same or kind of decrease. So that's just kind of telling you that they're expecting some movement on that stock. So implied volatility is just pretty much telling you that stock's volatile. So like when you see it decreasing, people would assume it sells because, oh my god, the dog scared me. Sorry. Because that IV is dropping and they're assuming that stock isn't going to be moving as much anymore. So like let's say I'm buying calls and you see that IV dropping. Well, if you're not expecting that stock to be moving up anymore, that IV is kind of decreasing. So it's not always a 100% guaranteed thing. It's just like a set of rules that I go by. So like I'd like to see that IV at least increase and stay up, or kind of continue to increase, but like that run one where it was decreasing there, that to me they could be selling those at the ask. Now it's not always 100% true, but like here's a good example here. So we're looking at the other set of 8 calls here on the runs. The runs. Okay, let's see. Yep, correct. So like if you watch some of those flow recap videos, like you'll see that IV always kind of increases when that flow comes in, and like on the sell. So I'll look at these. So I'm gonna assume this whale here. I just want to kind of look at that volume here because there's a lot. So a lot came in here on. Okay, so this is interesting. So you first had. Okay, I'm gonna pop this back to the 22nd. This is a really interesting one. Okay, we're gonna go 60 days. So okay, Bruno. So here's your initial opening trade, 21,000. Back on the 22nd. So you're looking at the 22nd. So all of that carrying over here. So the initial whale passed these off. And you can tell this because on 6/3 we had 23,000 contracts traded. Barely any change in that open interest. Obviously, some kind of came off here. Is this multi-leg actually? Let's take a peek. No. Okay. Let's see. Multi-leg. Where are we? So, okay, it does look like it's some multi-leg in here too. So let's kind of, I want to look at that candle. So yeah, it looks like, yeah, multi-leg in here. So that whale, oh, let's see. Come here. It's not going to update for me because I'm doing a live, of course. So anyway, okay, well, I'm going to pop back here. So like this, come back here. So that's a big multi-leg trade here now. So like that would kind of make me stay away from that. But you don't see a big change in that open interest. So if that wasn't multi-leg, that whale would be passing those contracts off, but huge multi-leg there. But that volume's all still, or that open interest is still there. Sorry, not volume. And then, like, let me pop this in a little closer. So, like, this one, so this is a different, I'm going to probably make a very good educated guess. This is a different whale here. So you had 680 contracts at the ask. So when we look at these at the ask, let's see. Okay, so we got 135.58 there. So this is yesterday. And it sometimes gets a little glitchy when you keep trying to go back and forth from the pages. So you can see like it was at that 135. So that volume did end up spiky, or not the volume, sorry, the IV spiked a little bit here. Now you can see, keep an eye on like that timestamp too. So you can see that spot price is filling at the ask. IV's there. So a little drop in that. And then you have kind of a little more volume here. And that IV increases again. So we don't know for sure if this is the same whale. Timing's very similar and the sizing's about the same. So this is kind of why I like to stick to higher volume trades too as well. Just so you can kind of see like, okay, 500, 1,000 contracts. You kind of can tell that it's part of a trade like this. You can't 100% guess. I would probably say it's related somewhat. But then like today, so you got a lot of this bid side stuff. You're not going to be able to tell until Monday, but like my guess is this whale's probably closing these out. And like when you look at this, I'm hoping it has the IV decrease so I can kind of show you. Let's see. So like, okay, so Wi-Fi for your question. So like, can see these sweeps starting to come in here. That IV's at 135. You start to see it kind of decrease. So they're assuming that stock may be not being as volatile anymore. Might be done moving up. So that IV is kind of decreasing there. Obviously, Run's got really high IV. I kind of tend to stay away from this because I mean, like you see with the Coors calls. Coors moved up like 3% at open, but those calls were pretty much flat. That's because of that IV. So that IV kind of drops a little bit. So that's what's called IV crush. So I tend to try to stay away from the higher IV stuff. So you see that a lot around earnings too. IV starts to rise around earnings. So like you'll see people get calls and the stock moves up, but like that implied move on that stock is like 8% and it moves like 1%. Your calls are crushed because that IV drops significantly and you're not getting that big move that was expected. So that's kind of why I tell people stay away from earnings too. But so back to Bruno. So yeah, this run one, I'm gonna say this one's probably sizing out here. Let's see. It's on run, jump 5. Yeah, I think that's a couple days old. Or yeah, I was gonna say either yesterday or a couple days ago. I know I saw that too. I want to look at the 9 call here for you too. So another one, let's see. It looks like this one started coming on the 28th, and some multi-leg there again on the 4th. So yeah, I want to get to multi-legging, and I don't trade spreads. I don't teach spreads. All I like to do is kind of buy calls, buy puts. I'll sell premiums if anything, but I'm not a spread trader. I don't do iron condors, cash secured puts, any of that stuff. So what's this? This looks kind of new here. Oh, this is that thing that simulation pointed out here. Well, that's cool. That is kind of new. I don't remember seeing this. Interesting. So this one, I just want to kind of back up a couple days. So yeah, like this is really messy here. And like you said, there's a lot of open interest on here. Just keep in mind with open interest, just because they're on calls doesn't mean they're buying the calls. They could be buying the calls, selling the calls, a mix of both. So just keep that in mind. Just a high amount of open interest doesn't always mean it's a buy. So just kind of keep that in mind. Like this, I mean, this is almost pretty much split down the. I mean, this is 50-50, like almost exactly 50-50 on those. Let's see what else do we got going on here. So hopefully that kind of answered your question on run, and we'll look at the chart for you too on run because not really hearing any dings come in, so it's going to be a setup trying to find. Okay, I'll show you an example here. Let me just do the run chart here quick too. And that's another thing too, like run anything like under $10. I don't really like trading. It's so slow moving, and I mean, like here you have a 39-cent move. That's a 5% move on the stock. Like something like that, like these lower or not premium price stocks, I'd probably say selling premiums a little better just because it's such a slow mover. Selling, I mean, $3-4 out of the money here, something like that. I mean, that's something you can do. Something I like to do at least if I'm gonna do that. And I mean, yeah, this chart is just kind of. Yeah, I mean, I like looking at like the flow moves and kind of like matching it up with the chart. So like if you see the flow and chart section like HIMS and Intel, like I'm matching up like the that highest premium contracts to the chart because I want to see multiple data points there. But I mean headlines, they're good, but you kind of will see like people selling the headline and all that. Usually traders kind of know before something's gonna come out, like there'll be rumors and you'll see kind of tweets and all that, like the so like run with the Congress may not cut the federal tax stuff, like they it's headlines but it's not like factual, if that kind of makes sense. I don't know, I don't trade off headlines. I mean like PCE and all that stuff, GDP, like if you have like a clear indication of something, that's different. But yeah, I'm just kind of looking at that run chart here, and yeah, pretty pretty ugly chart here. I mean, you are kind of sitting on what would be your not even really an uptrend or downtrend. It's just kind of support here. It looks like, and just kind of coming down. Yeah, I mean, it's got to break out. Yeah, I can't really even draw a super good downtrend on that just because it's so choppy in the middle there. But yeah, I mean, obviously a really slow mover. A lot of headline driven. So Wi-Fi, I'm yeah, those solar company. I mean, energy is a very volatile sector. Very, I'm there's people that love trading energy. I'm not the biggest fan of trading energy. It's just so volatile. I mean, you saw with the Iran Israel stuff. I mean, oil spiking 8% and then ended up being down like 3% in the same day. That is volatile. Energy is a very volatile section or section. All right, so Wi-Fi. So I'm going to show you in the Discord too quick. So sorry if the screen looks a little goofy, but if you go down here into my downloadable guides and you come up here, I'll actually drop it in the chat here. So you can just save those. But oh crap, I don't want to go out of there, sorry. Let me go back down here. Oh, So like, okay, these are your ask sides. So this would be assuming calls buy or buying calls or puts. This would be like selling premium, and all ETF is just buying like calls or puts, whatever you see. So like with this, so this is my filter. So if you're looking for, let me pop the chat back up too. I just want to read your question one more time. Sorry. So set up trying to find swing trades for daily or weekly. So you're looking for like short term trades essentially. So what I would do is, because when you populate that filter, how I have them in here, and you can just save it, and it should save. Like if you just come up here, it'll save in here. Like if you want to change anything, you just come over here. They'll be in this as well, up here as well. It's, you just come in here, you can save it, name it whatever you want. I highly recommend doing that. So like you can kind of see some of my filters here. So like you're looking for like a shorter term trade. So what I would do here is, like, obviously it's pulling in like 112 days, 175 days. I have to have that open because I'm obviously looking at longer term plays and all that for the group. But you come down here, let me find my DTE. So like you can see I don't have a cap on this at all. But like let's say you wanted to look at like moves for a week or so. Like I would bump this down. So now keep an eye on the flow feed here too. So if I bump this down to 15, look at how condensed it gets. So this is all the trades I would have had for today. So you can see a lot of these are expiring in a week, 2 weeks. So that's kind of your main thing you'd want to do there is kind of set up that days of expiration. I'd say 2 weeks out is good. So I mean 15 days. You can always even do 20 days too. Month might be fine. I mean, 30 days would get you a good chunk. I mean, you don't want to kind of limit all the flow, but you want to obviously kind of limit it down. Look, you're looking for that quicker move. So like 30. Usually, if I'm looking for shorter kind of midterm plays, that 30-day will get you a good one. Because I mean, 21 days, they're still expecting a move coming up soonish, but not as quick as something that expires in a week. So keep that in mind. And kind of with like that weekly stuff too. Let me see if I can find one. A lot of it. So like Circle today, like there's not like, and depends, like, so like on a Friday too, I don't like swinging weeklies over the weekend just because you have that 2 days that 2 days of theta decay. So like, okay, let's see if we can find one. I'm gonna just pop this back down to 15 days. So like, okay, these MSTRs that just came in. So you can see that spot's more towards the bid. I want to find a good one for you. Hold on, let me just take a peek here. It's not really a lot today. Okay, so we'll look at the hymns flow that came in here. Oh, sorry. Oh. So we had the 7-3-48 5 puts come in a little earlier. So okay, well, this one looks like they already cut for a loss there. So like they were expecting hymns to go down shortly, and obviously we were at I mean it was up like 11% on the day. So like this, and this isn't all the best example either because it's 700 contracts. So okay. So like you do this, and what I like to do is then I pull up the raw flow. I'll kind of just bump that results out so I can see everything. And I'm looking at the flow before it, the flow as it comes in, and then the flow after it. Actually, this might be a good example here. So like, okay, you see that spike in that IV there. So right away I'm thinking, okay, these might potentially be buys. And I'm looking at that spot price here. So you can see that spot price starts to drop a little bit. And you can see that IV drops a little bit too. Spot price comes back up a little bit. I'm just kind of taking a peek here. See that IV drop a little bit again too. It's 3 contracts, so it's not a ton. Like if it was like 35 contracts and that IV's dropping, okay, I'm thinking it's a bigger deal then. But like I'm just and keep an eye at the timestamp too. So I mean, like you can see some of that flow after. Probably not related to it because it's almost about a minute after, but like with that IV decreasing here towards the end and kind of coming back up and then decreasing, these could be sells at the ask. So then this bid side candle here could be them buying it back. So like if we look at the bid side candle, so like okay, another. See, and it's not the best because it's kind of a tougher one here since it's more in the middle too. I mean, you're 6 cents off the bid and you're about 10 cents off the ask. So, I mean, that's not the best example. They could be cutting these for a loss. But essentially, so like that's my order. I'm gonna try to find a better one for you because that's not a good order of operations one for you there. Let me So okay, we'll look at the BA ones because that was a good one today. Okay, so let's look at the BA ones because these did make a good move up today. So you're looking at the flow feed. You see BA come in here at the top. You're like, okay. So first thing I'm looking at is how much open interest do we have, and how much volume do we have. So that size that came in is greater than open interest. So you know it's an opening trade 100%. That spot price, which is just what the contracts can fill, that is coming in at the ask. That bid ask is a little wider, so that's showing aggression that they're coming in at the ask. Volume could be a little higher. 166 is still good. So I'll click on that. You'll see the contract here. So you can see clean opening entry. Obviously, again, your numbers down here, looking at that volume to open interest. It's clearly an opening trade. Kind of look at that net premium here. Obviously, there's a lot of net call premium, good call volume. And if you look here too, sometimes I'll kind of take a peek at this. This isn't always a big game changer, but that's just telling you kind of the yeah. Like this is just kind of telling you this is that percent of the total volume for that chain. So sometimes I'll look at that, sometimes I won't. That's not a game deal breaker or anything there. So then okay, I verify my flow looks good here. My net call premium spiked there a little bit at the time. So then I click on the candle and look at the actual raw flow. And again, pop out that result. And I want to see. So, like, okay, perfect example right here. Again, pay attention to the timestamps too. So, 7 minutes after that last piece of flow comes in, you start seeing some more flow come in. It's getting a flow alert here, so a repeated hits alert. And that's just kind of telling you this is part of that flow alert here. So you see that IV pop. You're coming in at the ask, and it's going to probably get goofy here when I try to go back. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, good. So then I come down here. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on that IV, keeping an eye on that spot price. And if it has this little, like, kind of click for the context or whatever, that's going to be all linked together. So again, just kind of keeping an eye on that IV. It stays up, looks good. IV doesn't drop or anything. So now this is why I say you got to kind of take a peek at the flow after the fact a little bit too. It doesn't need to 100% match and all that, but like here, so there's a little flow of kind of a little size here. I don't know if this is the same trader. It's about a minute later, so probably not the same trader, but you see that IV spike anyway, so that would be a good sign. So like now that I looked at that flow, what you could do is just kind of pop over to the chart quick. And like if you're just kind of looking at the chart, like if you're just trading the flow fully, I mean that flow's textbook there. So like if you're looking at the chart, you're like, okay, well, let me pop out here. So Dan Bowen has a very ugly chart actually. Um, so like this. Oh, sorry. I typically won't pull up the chart, so I'm usually just doing the flow up right now. I'll usually do the charts at night, so that's kind of why I was a little there. So like, okay, well, there's a lot of bullish flow here. You can see we had some good buying volume yesterday. You can see we broke through that 20-day moving average and we had a gap to fill. So you could think, okay, well, that flow's aiming for that gap fill essentially and filled that gap. But that's just kind of, I just kind of wanted to show you more of the flow aspect and what you could do here. So I mean, like if you want to pull up a chart and look quick, I usually, if I'm just trading based off flow, like that flow would have been good enough for me to get there, if that makes some sense. Yeah, so I mean, if you're, and I probably shouldn't have brought up the chart thing or anything, you could have just probably been fine just with that flow, the little flow breakdown there. CRM, okay, and I know we had those right here, the 7, 11, 285s. So, good example here. So, like right away, I'm looking at that open interest. I'm like, okay, well, I want to make sure they're not like selling some of it or whatever. So I just pop this back, just 60 days, make a quick look. This whale's probably, I mean, these other little whales here, probably not related. I'm going to make a good guess it's not related. I mean, 728 plus 600, that's about 1200. So, I mean, 1400 is going to be a little more than 1200, obviously, math wise, for the math experts out there. So, okay, I know it's more than likely an opening trade. And even if you just kind of come back here and look, you can just see a lot of kind of piddly contracts carrying over all that. So, can assume it's probably an opening trade. I'm looking at that flow right away. So pop that. Oh, it's just habit for me to do that. So now here's a good example here. So you see that IV. Actually, I want to go back one more page here. So IV spikes when that flow starts to come in. So 25.32, 25.32. So now you see that IV drop a little bit, but that ask is still staying up. Now, if I didn't have any flow after this, I would skip over this flow fully. But now we have more repeated hits come in here, and you can probably assume this is all like making an educated guess, just kind of that timing. I mean, this is probably all the same trader, so that IV comes back up again, and then we're back at that 2603, and we finish high there as well. So you can kind of assume that's the same trader. So that kind of just comes with time and kind of reading flow. Like you'll notice things like that. Like that timing's very similar. Like, hey, we have some bid side stuff in here, but IV pops. And then you have that IV pop again there. So like that's something I discount there where you see that IV drop and then spike back up. So again, that just kind of comes with time with reading it and kind of understanding all that. But yeah, and I know I posted that CRM. So I mean, and then that's one thing too. I always tell people just remember that so Wi-Fi it would be the same just for like puts. So I'll find one for puts for you too. But yeah, and then just keep in mind that the flow's always time sensitive. So like if you see these come in and they're at 140 and they moved up to like let's just say like 180, I wouldn't chase them from that. Like you can find a discounted entry if you really want, but I just don't recommend really doing that. But yeah, Wi-Fi. So it's the same like setup for calls. Like if you're looking like let's like these upstart puts. So I'm going to just kind of take a peek at this. So like, okay, put volumes up, or put premiums up. It's an opening trade based off that. You come and look at that flow. So now this one says it's a descending fill. So that's just meaning that spot price is decreasing a little bit in here. So let's find where that's happening. So okay, flow comes in. So okay, spike in your IV here. Pretty big bid ask spread here. That spot fill in there. So I just want to see where that descending fill comes in. So 61.88 looks good so far. So okay. So now, and it looks like that spread just got kind of messed up here. So it drops and then pops up again there. So like that, I'd probably discount that and I'd ignore that because that bid ask got a little goofy there. I mean, because it's pretty much, it's filling at the ask, but it's a really goofy spread. Maybe something like that I'd probably ignore. I usually don't see it where it's the same bid and same ask, so that's kind of a little different, but you have that flow after too where it pops back up. So okay, this would be your descending fill in here more. So you can see it's like smaller size, like if it's like 1 or 2 contracts, not a big deal, but like if it's even the 23 contracts is kind of high, but like if it's like all this, like the bigger size and bigger premium that you see is descending, I'm ignoring that flow then, but just kind of coming up here. So then you can see that flow kind of came in here a little bit more. 1342. Don't know for sure if this is connected. I make an educated guess. I'm going to probably say that the 46 one might be, but that's probably, I don't know about those little smaller sizes there. But yeah, like this, so you'd do that for puts. It's the same setup as calls pretty much. You're just looking for that IV to increase and that spot price to be coming in at the ask, or that spot to continue increasing, essentially. CRM looked good. CRM looked good because I posted that one. So if I post it, because I will always like look into the raw flow before posting. I just won't post the flow like when it comes in. Like if I'm like, oh, MSTR is at the ask, I don't just like grab it and post it like that. Like I'll do due diligence and do it a little bit. Except my due diligence is a little faster. So like, let's so like these UALs. I didn't get a chance to look at these. I was at lunch. So okay, UAL comes in. I'm clicking this quick, looking at the flow here. So that call premium is kind of up still a little bit. Not a big size, but I'm gonna just click here quick. I pop the results out quick. I scroll down. Sometimes I gotta switch over to the next page, so I'll just kind of do a double scan up there. So okay, I see a bid side piece of flow there. Pop back to the page. So okay, that IV does spike. Come back. So besides that one little bid side fill, it's only one contract, so I could discount that. I would say this is probably flow your 14 days out. How far out of the money are we on this? 4%. Sometimes I'll pop out that net premiums just kind of see. So we're kind of flat. So like this, I would say is probably good. So that's kind of my very quick order of operations where I'm checking out the flow there. Because obviously, I mean, you can't sit and focus on one. And I mean, as you keep reading flow, you'll kind of you pick it up pretty quicker. You'll pick it up quick if you can just keep practicing and all that fun stuff. It's just a game of patience. It's like anything else. You got to learn. Just gotta always practice and learn. And ask questions too, kind of like JT said. Just always ask questions because people probably have the same exact question as you and they might be scared to ask it. Something like that. Yeah, and I mean that's the thing too. Like you don't know 100% what that whale's doing. Like, I mean, especially puts because you'll kind of see more hedging obviously going on with puts and all that. But like you gotta out. So like my flow and chart section, like you saw how I had Intel and then hymns. I like to lay that. I'm not a super big fan of taking just random flow that comes in because like you could have like that upstart one that came in 156. You could have a call come in 5 minutes after that's 500,000. So that's kind of why I like to kind of look off that those like hottest contracts or the highest volume, match it up with charts because I like having multiple data points. I want to see good flow. I want to see a good chart set up. Like the flow, you don't 100% know what's going on there. Could be part of a bigger trade. I mean, that's you just have a lot there. The flow's a good guiding tool, though. I mean, you're gonna get a lot of good guiding tools in here. I mean, you're getting, especially like for day trading and all that. Like, if I see calls come in and like the entire market tide is just blood red, I'm probably not gonna grab calls just because the entire market sentiment's pretty much bearish. So keep that in mind. I mean, that's just a learning game. That's just time in the market. A lot of it's just kind of knowing kind of the fundamentals, how the market kind of moves, all that fun stuff. Just kind of, I mean, like gauging sentiment. Like, okay, we're almost turning into greed here, so a lot of people are going to be kind of greedy, and they're okay. Well, stocks are going to keep going up. So, and then I know there's people that are like, well, Buffett always says like something I can. I mean, I'll start doing like when everything's neutral. That's kind of when you're kind of seeing that choppiness too in the market. So I mean, like if you're getting up here to like extreme greed, I'm looking for a good, probably resistant spot where people could be taking some profits. Because more so, it seems like, I mean, you're going to always go from fearful to greed and then greed down to fearful. I mean, it can take a long, long time for that to turn. I mean, we've been sitting neutral like all month. Let's see. So, like for me, like I'll show you Intel and hymns. Not hymns. So like Intel. So that was on a weekly time frame. So like with that, like with my guidance on that, I was looking for it to like close. I was like my risk would be a close below that weekly. So I was like, okay, well we might move down a little bit and then we might pop back up. So like we actually closed about that like 1970-ish or so there. So I'm more looking at levels for versus kind of a percent. Obviously you don't want contracts to go down like 80%. If I'm like in something like, let's just say that's like 10 days out and I'm down like 20% or something, I'm going to think about probably cutting, even if we're just chopping and I'm not hitting my guidance spot. Because then you got to keep in mind that theta is going to start kicking in with the contracts, all that stuff. So, yeah, that's kind of one thing I kind of will watch there. But like Intel, so like my was like the weekly break below that. We didn't break close below it or anything on the weekly. And like hymns, my other one was, I think hymns was on the daily. Let's see. So like I was looking for, oh, and we rejected that 20-day almost perfect. I want to pull up the hymns here because I need to see it. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. So, okay. Hims. Okay. So, oh, I was on the 4. See, I was on the 4-hour time frame. I would have told you the wrong thing. Exactly why I'm happy I looked. So, like Hims. So this was the 24th when it would have been opened. So Monday, so the 24th. So said I was kind of looking for two possible ways. So this one, and I probably would lean more. It's a little tougher too, like when you have kind of two entries. So I was looking for a break above that 200 day as a momentum entry. So, and then you probably could have counted this as a stop almost too, but you did get some movement after that. I was looking for a break above, but I didn't. I was gonna cut it if it failed to hold it. So that 4-hour chart and the contracts were a little longer dated too, so a little tougher with that one. But because this one, I really would have liked that discounted entry where you would have kind of came down here a little bit more towards that uptrend there. So I mean, like you can see that clear uptrend. You're like in the middle of that demand zone. So like this, I'm more of a conservative trader where I'm waiting for a good perfect entry. Like this would have been perfect if you would have hit that kind of uptrend here about that 40-ish spot. Let's see, I have my uptrend here at 40.05. So I mean, you're at 40.80. You could be like, okay, well, we're getting close. I can get some time on these contracts. I know that whale's still in, so I'm getting a discounted entry anyways. So like here's something. I mean, like I wouldn't want to buy something at the top of a demand zone, but like this, like my risk would have been like if we would have broke below that, which probably would have been like a 20% loss or so. But obviously you don't want something to go down like 80% or 90% or something like that. If that makes some sense there. The Hims sorry, the Hims one is a little tougher to kind of show you there since it had two possible entries there. But like the Intel one a little easier. Like you're looking for, you don't want it to close in that weekly to the downside. So like I believe this would have been your weekly candle, like right here. Like, okay, well you're closing like near the middle of, actually it was one of these two candles here. I'm gonna probably say it's this one. So like we didn't break below that demand zone and close. So, and like you can see, I mean, it's just kind of moving along in here, So just kind of some time there in the market, how that happens. And I mean, that's why I like matching up the flow. Like I can kind of pinpoint better entries, all that stuff here. Yeah, man, that flow got quiet for power hour. Let's look at, so like right away I'm looking, probably not going to look at this just because it's that spot's almost like right in the middle. Ignore that. So it shows its ask side, but clearly it's almost a mid fill. And then even like this, I mean, you're more towards the bid side. And I mean, there's too much volume on here, anyways, where you're not going to pay attention to that. Market, hey, we're going to finish green. Oh, yes, we are. Maybe. Well, there's 10 minutes left. Let's see. Spy calls or puts. Like that longer term stuff. Obviously, you have to kind of hold those a long time and can always be a little difficult with ETFs and all that. Just with all the data overlapping and earnings. They'll so all my like full size trades, you'll see those come in the flow and chart section. So those are all the trades that I'm like going full size in. Yeah, it would be so like because like this flow that like I'll post like in the ask side stuff, like I'll scalp that, but to put like with how many questions I get in there and like how many like answering, like it's so hard to kind of just be like, hey, I'm doing this, and then I'm saying I'm closing it here and then do it. Like it gets to be a lot to manage everything and post and keep up on everything. So the flow and chart section I kind of made like my main channel where that's my play that I'm taking. Yeah, because I'm sure you've seen how kind of crowded it can get in there, and you're answering questions, and it's like, oh man, it gets hard to scalp and trade sometimes. Yeah, makes it a busy day, but it's fun still. Then trying to manage trades and all that. Oh yeah, no, that's you're not the only one. Don't worry. But I don't think we're gonna see much more for the rest of the day. I mean, it looks like we're just gonna probably shoot up the rest of the session here. So I'm gonna probably hop off here. I mean, we're not gonna probably see any more flow for the next 5 minutes or so. So I'm gonna probably hop off here. JT, Bruno, you guys have a great weekend. Little quieter day here, and then just remember next week it's only a 3.5 day trading week. So keep that in mind. But all right, guys, have a great weekend.